Okay. All right. Well, hi everyone, and thanks for being here today. My name is Bruno Sarda, and I'm going to be guiding our conversation today. So, uh, uh, my day job is I do social responsibility work at Dell, and the rest of my time I spend with ASU in the School of Sustainability, helping both teach and support the Executive Masters for Sustainability Leadership program. And today we're going to be talking about the program and talking to some of our alumni. Joining me today are Lisa Estrada, Jamie Cook, Tim Trefser, and Thomas Williams. And I'm delighted to be reunited with former students and looking forward to hearing from them. So, you know, the School of Sustainability at ASU has been around now for 10 years. Just a decade ago, ASU became the first degree granting sustainability program offered in the US, and and has been, frankly, the leader in sustainability education ever since, along with actually research and a lot of other types of programs. Um, so the school itself, along with close to 400 sustainability scientists and scholars at ASU who both research and teach sustainability across the university in a bunch of disciplines, are part of this Julie Ann Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability at ASU. And one of the signature programs of the Wrigley Global Institute is the Rob and Melanie Walton Sustainability Solutions Initiatives, where this degree program was created and where it currently lives. So again, just to expand a little bit on my role, again, as I mentioned, I've been doing sustainability work now with Dell for many years. About 2011, actually created a program in the school to start engaging with students, undergrads, graduates alike. I've been teaching in the school as well for about that long on how to prepare for career success and sustainability. And then when the Walton Sustainability Solutions Initiatives came about, was involved in helping create the Executive Masters for Sustainability Leadership to fill a key role, which was to basically help prepare those who were already in the workplace trying to lead sustainability, as opposed to the school's initial focus, which was to prepare kind of that future generation of leaders. Um, and uh, One of the things we did when creating this program was to really look at what was the need, what was the demand from the market. This wasn't just about trying to repurpose some classes that existed already, but really to create a program that was gonna meet a need in the marketplace. And we partnered with the Green Biz Group, surveyed and got input from about 400 or so professionals across a subsector of industries who worked in near or in sustainability, to get a feel for what it was that they would look. And you can see some of the stats here. Um, and this was really to make sure that sustainability was not the goal. Sustainability is the way to achieve organizational objectives and outcomes in a more sustainable way, and how to get people to a certain level who may just kind of feel stuck or feel like they've hit a ceiling in trying to advance sustainability, maybe past a green team initiative or part kind of incubating a small project. So what they needed was to really become a leader in their organization who could talk at any level of the organization about, what is sustainability, what is it, why does it matter, how does it help us achieve our objectives as an organization, and how to engage stakeholders both inside and outside the organization to get that done. So, so that's why we did this. Let's hear from those who actually chose to join us in this journey. So, why don't we go to some of our students? So, Jamie, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us why you decided to join EMSL and what you got out of it? Jamie, are you there? You might be on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute.
There you go.
Thank you, Bruno. I want to give a warm aloha welcome to everybody on the webinar. My name is Jamie Cook, and I work at Maui Electric Company, our electric utility out here on the island of Maui in Hawaii. And when I first started looking for graduate programs 2 or 3 years prior to finding EMSL, I was looking for a program that would help me become a more sophisticated communicator in the sustainability realm, and also increase my knowledge base. And I was also looking for more tools that could help me become a better leader, and also help explain to others, more or less in a change management context, where an organization where you might be working or working to develop, where lies their mission, and what is the real overreaching global context of what the mission is and how it relates to sustainability. And when I came across the EMSL program, first thing I watched was the video online on the school website, and it really spoke to me. And I started interacting with Jennifer Griffin, and then I talked to Bruno, I think, on a drive to work one morning. And after I talked to Bruno, I was hooked. I said, this is definitely the program for me. And the format, the online format plus the cohort format really worked for my schedule. And slowly but surely, I realized that I had literally picked the perfect program for me. As a working professional, like a lot of people, are very busy, and you want to take on a graduate program, you have to do your proper time budgeting. But it really started working for me, and this program really opened my eyes to all of the global things that are going on with the reporting initiatives, all of the companies that are working in the sustainability realm, all their successes, some of their failures. And I realized that I was gaining valuable elements and pieces that I had been missing for years. In my undergraduate studies, I did focus on sustainable development, but EMSL really took me to that next level, where interacting with the professors who are all leaders in their respective fields, it was just an amazing experience being exposed to all of the professors, all of the guest lecturers, all of our immersives, our learnings, the videos, all of our blogging, the papers, the assignments, our capstones. It all really pulled all of the threads in the course together: global context, leadership, communications, strategy, and it really truly helped me become a better sustainability pathfinder, I'd like to say. I think I'm still an emerging, some might call me a sustainability leader, but personally I like to call myself a sustainability pathfinder. And I see my job here at the electric utility, I'm the director of the renewable energy projects division, and my job is to help the organization find new pathways towards not only integrating more renewable energy, but the biggest challenge here is making sure that the organization is truly on a sustainable path. And I have to unfortunately say that we're not nearly where we need to be, and I think that's where a lot of my future work is going to lie if I choose to stay here at the utility. And increasingly, I find a lot of value in everything I learn from the program. I literally bring it to bear every day in my job. Right. And the program, I think, it's really tailor made for working professionals.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much, Jamie. Tim, what about you?
Hey, Bruno. Thanks a lot. I think this program has meant a lot to me because as similarly to Jamie, I'm also a busy professional. I manage the sustainability of a complex of buildings in Atlanta, and I've realized after a while that sustainability was exactly my field of choice. So I also didn't want to have to move or leave my job in order to attain another degree. So I had been looking quite closely at a number of MBA programs, but realized that while they're valuable, they didn't speak to me from a sustainability standpoint because they weren't robustly integrating that curriculum into most of the programs. So I was fortunate enough to have come across the EMSL announcement shortly after it was made a degree program, and really realized that it had the opportunity to expand my horizons because it touched on those key characteristics that you highlighted, Bruno, from the Green Biz survey that I recognized myself that I needed to hone in on, and those are the communications and leadership most particularly. So for me, the online format was very important. It gave me the ability to apply everything that I was learning for that year into my day-to-day job. But it also spoke to me because it gave me the opportunity to learn from others that were in similar boats, that were actively trying to change organizations from the inside out like I was, and it gave me the tools and the resources really to apply what I was learning day in and day out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim. Lisa, what about you?
Well, thanks, Bruno. So I've worked for the city of Peoria here in Arizona, mid-sized city with a population of about 160,000 people. And I've worked for that city for about 10 years now. And much of that was working in government affairs. And I came to a point where I felt like I needed to make a difference, a bigger difference, something that impacted not only the community around me, the world around me, but for my children as well. I think that was kind of the turning point for me. And so living in the Valley, I was very well aware of the great strides and efforts that Arizona State University has taken in becoming a leader in sustainability. And with this program, when it came up, I knew I had to be part of it. There was no question. Just having the credibility and just the stamp of approval, having such a reputable program here in my own backyard was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. So, and I knew that. So it was just a very strong gut feeling. And then, of course, all the things that were taught were, key focus areas on strategy, on global context, storytelling through communications and leadership. But those are the very key elements that are needed to create change. And I think that credibility, coupled with, the program, the degree, and all that, really led to creating a position of a sustainability manager just for me. So, granted, I have the passion and belief in it, but having the education and demonstrating the investment that the university is making in us, in society, and vice versa, us in the program itself. I think all of that coupled together created the amazing opportunity that I have as the city's first sustainability manager. I have a clean slate. I have the ability to create programs and initiatives and practices right now from the ground. So it's a tremendous opportunity, and I will do everything possible to stay connected from here on out.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lisa. Thomas, what about you?
So the way for me, how I actually found out about this program and why it was so easy for me to decide to join was that I have been working at Scottsdale Community College for 8 years on sustainability practices, and I was the coordinator of sustainability programs there for that time. And I got also to the point where I needed to meet my professional credentials with the academic credentials that I was seeking. And I was also, like some of the alumni already mentioned, looking into other programs, master's programs that would help me pursue different career paths and accelerate my career at the same institution. But the executive masters really, I met Bruno at a movie night at Film Bar, and when I found out what he was doing there for Dell, I had to talk to him. And then a couple months later, I was having lunch with one of my friends from the undergraduate program, and he was telling me about this Bruno Sarda guy that was starting this program, and the deadline for the program is coming up really soon. And I didn't know how soon, because then I called Bruno up and I said, well, when's the deadline for this? And he's like, it's today. So, so for me, I really had to just it didn't take me a very long time to see the value in this program, especially like some of the others already mentioned. I was a full-time worker. I didn't want to give up my program that I have established, and wanted to take time away from that. But at the same time, I needed to figure out how to add more academic credentials to my career. And this program, just with the way that it was built, in the online format, but also have the opportunity to really meet other engaged, excited professionals around the nation and the globe that are working on sustainability solutions, was such an exciting opportunity that made it really easy for me to accept that and apply. And really, the way that my expectations have been met on that was, throughout the program, I made amazing connections with the other alumni, and with the faculty as well, and then also it helped me achieve the role that took on just a couple months ago, as the Chief Sustainability Officer for Markover Community Colleges. So, yeah, all these things together were really, really helpful for me to take the path on that I'm doing right now.
Fantastic. Well, thanks to the four of you. I think it speaks to both. I mean, your interests, your commitments. I think you've all made us proud in all that you've achieved. And frankly, as Lisa was saying, there's still a lot of work to be done, and we have absolutely no doubt that you're right, the right people for it. So let's talk a little bit more about what are we doing? As the survey earlier indicated, what we're really looking to do is fill a leadership gap, and that's really how we designed the program. As I mentioned earlier, we had the luxury for this program to truly build it from the ground up, to really understand from what the marketplace needed and what the individuals in the marketplace who were trying to lead this kind of change, to understand, what were the critical skill sets needed to achieve that. And obviously, there's a lot more information on the website, but broadly speaking, the four key dimensions. One is to how to understand the global context of sustainability down at an organizational, actionable level. So this isn't about any one organization to try to go solve water scarcity or homelessness or climate change, but it's really to look at how do you take what the global context is and requires and internalize that at an organizational level, an action plan. On the strategy then side is how do you take those imperatives, how do you take those opportunities and weave them into your organizational strategic context, and then what are the tools and frameworks and practices that you can put to use then to move that forward in a way that makes sense to your organization. Needless to say, you have to have the leadership capabilities to know how to take transformative agendas forward, how to engage and inspire your leadership, your peers, your organization, engage with your stakeholders, frankly, recognize those leadership abilities in yourself, and know how to tap into those and unleash those in more productive ways. And then, of course, how to communicate that. Lisa mentioned storytelling earlier, how to make sure what does it take for others to understand the need and the opportunity, both, what is the information needed, what is the data needed, but then how do you weave that and thread that into a way that really taps into meaning and again, ultimately leads to action. So, beyond kind of courses and those threads, roughly are the courses, there's no, as far as we've found, there's no other executive master's degree like this anywhere in the world that combines this architecture of content, that combines, as both Thomas and Jamie were mentioning, the hybrid model, so that it very much, and Tim as well, fits kind of the professional demands on our time. One of the hallmarks of this program is we attract busy professionals who are trying to make important things happen, and one of them are these capstone projects. Again, every student comes to the program with either a fully formed idea or just a an area of interest or something that they want to do, or sometimes they just learn as they start getting into the program how to hone even this particular passion. And these are just some examples of some former students. But one of the key values of this program is your capstone project is literally a deliverable for your organization, if you choose for it to be. And if you choose for it not to be, that's fine too. But pretty much most of our students have actually used this to refine and develop and shape a program that became something of great meaning to their organization, something that led to actual work being done and funded, to frankly professional opportunities being afforded with things like promotions and additional responsibilities. So you can see here some examples of some of our former students, again, who chose to focus their capstone on particular parts of what they were trying to achieve in their organizations, and using the tools of the EMSL as they were in the program to engage their leadership, to communicate with their peers, and that's actually been a very key benefit, certainly, that students have gotten, and we've already seen quite a few results come out along the way. Another hallmark of the program is, we call it high touch in a very kind of safe and appropriate way, but it's really about how do we as instructors, so myself and the other thread leaders and the other professionals involved in the program, along with all of the students, because all of the students are professionals and experts at what they do in their own right, but how do we engage with each other in very direct, very practical, very applied ways. So part of that is done online, and actually I think we've developed some very effective ways to maintain this kind of high touch intensity through the tools of technology, even asynchronously, again, so that schedules don't get in the way. But then when we do get in person, together in person, also making sure that we find those connections. So why don't I ask the panel, maybe give me one example of how you specifically got value out of working with one of the instructors in the program. Maybe Tim, do you want to get us started? Okay, why don't we go to Lisa?
Well, sure. I think the biggest thing in navigating an organization like the city of Peoria here was really involving strategy, and I think communication. So they definitely went hand in hand for me throughout the time in my program and in the program and now. It's really about timing. You're knowing your audience, learning about them, learning about yourself, and being able to communicate to them all the things that are relevant to the jobs that they do in their own areas or departments. And when I speak to strategy, I think that's what we work with every single day, is really looking at those entry points, the timing again, the people that we need to reach out to and to get things done. And all of that takes a lot of time and a lot of thought to contemplate, again, where and how. And, sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 3 back. But it's really navigating your organizations and knowing how. And I think those are probably some of the 2 that I probably practice quite a bit on a daily basis.
Great. Comments, what about you?
So in regards to working with the faculty members, I mean, obviously I worked with all of them quite a bit, but the beneficial part for me, or most beneficial part of my career, was really the communications piece, I would think, because it was sometimes I get very passionate about sustainability, and then you're talking about all these things that might not mean that much to some of the people in your audience. So in regards to the communications aspect of this program, it really helped me to better focus on who's my audience, how can I sell the things that I really want them to care about to them, so then it give me just the green light to move forward with things, especially to the people that have the power to maybe block some of the initiatives that I want to take on. So that was really, really helpful to me. And also, obviously, the leadership perspective in regards to how do I situate myself as a leader in this organization? How do I make sure that I'm being seen as a leader, that I am know what I'm talking about when I'm approaching certain people about the things that I want to do.
Great. Jamie, what about you? I think you might be on mute again. There you go.
Yeah, I think for me, I gleaned I gleaned strategies and learnings from each professor, each instructor that I bring to bear every day. They're all interrelated for me. For me, communication is a big piece. Being an effective communicator is probably one of the most essential pieces, and I strive every day to become a better communicator, and that helps you be a better leader. If you can get your point across with clarity, brevity, and vigor, as we've been taught, it has more impact. And being a good storyteller, helps with that. The leadership piece is critical, because if you can't build your team or forward your initiative, then you're going to have a lot of problems. But being a good leader, I think, is also, being able to draw on specific tools, like all of the reporting initiatives, and, just the being relevant and sophisticated in your knowledge base. You have to be credible. And of course, tying in the global context is critical as well, and applying that lens that we've always talked about, that sustainability lens, and encouraging people to think differently, but also dispelling myths about sustainability, and really focusing on how the practice and the multidisciplinary focus of sustainability has really matured over the last few years.
Great. Well, thank you all. Yeah, I mean, I think we certainly enjoyed working with all of you. And one of the ways, we also try, I mean, as much as we take pride in the qualities and experiences and expertise we have, part of what we try to do in this program is actually then complement that with, I mean, obviously there's readings and things, but actually bringing people into the fold as well. And one of the things the EMSL students have an opportunity to do is to actually experience and interact with renowned experts in their own field, sometimes core to sustainability, sometimes not, depending on their particular focus of the lecture. So we bring, usually on a weekly basis during the times of instruction, weekly faculty lectures, along with some of these kind of world-renowned professionals, such as some of the leaders you can see here. And even if the students can attend the weekly lecture in person, all of these are recorded and available only to our students. And we try to pick, frankly, speakers who you might not just be able to kind of Google and find, one of their lectures or talks on YouTube or something. These are people who, even though they might do public speaking in broader venues, really come and talk to us about what we're working on and how they apply some of the concepts we're talking about. So let's maybe hear from some of our panelists again. Who was your most memorable guest speaker, or what was something that you remember kind of walking away with, saying, I know I can use that. Thomas, do you want to start maybe?
Sure, yeah. There were obviously many great webinar guest speakers that I remember, and whether it's people from NASA or Patagonia or other very hard to get speakers, the one that stuck most in my mind really was Bob Langert from McDonald's. And the way that the interesting thing that stuck into my mind is McDonald's had such really a bad reputation in regards to sustainability. So talking to somebody that is trying to improve their sustainability practices within McDonald's and have quite an intense discussion with that person online about greenwashing, about certain things that they're doing, about making sure that the things that he was doing are actually making an impact in the overall company of McDonald's. When he was telling us about their purchases of how many eggs they're using and how that filters down and how agricultural works and the whole supply chain of McDonald's. So that was really interesting for me, and that really was the webinar that most spoke to me.
Great. Thanks, Thomas. Jamie, what about you?
And again, I want to second what was said about, just all of the speakers were really amazing. I think the one of them that really sticks out in my mind is Jonathan Gotchel. It was just amazing to have a renowned author doing a video webinar with us, basically from his home library and office, and just directly sharing his insights from his work. It really had an impact on me as a student. How effective that teaching platform is, and I give a lot of credit to ASU and the EMSL professors for setting up true professionals in their fields. World renowned speakers and executives and sustainability leaders, and having an author like Jonathan Gotchel who he's talking about his book The Storytelling Animal and other books that he's written. It was just amazing.
Great. Lisa, what about you?
They were all wonderful. For me, I often get asked, how does one start a career in sustainability? How do you make that leap? And, what was really revealing about all the guest speakers that we had is the incredible amount of organizations that are already out there doing it and have sustainability built in, some sort of sustainability built in within the organization. So I think each of these speakers came to me with really unique stories, and some, where, it could have been a McDonald's or someone like Patagonia who they live and breathe sustainability, and that's just the culture. So I think it was fascinating to hear from each of these guest lectures, just to hear about their organizations and how different it is from one to the other, the challenges they face. But no matter what, the common theme for me is that each one of them, there's something that stuck with me, something that resonated with me, whether it's the strategy that they took on or the way they communicated or what they did when they, came across some challenges or setbacks and those sorts of things. So it was truly inspiring. Every single one of them are very carefully selected and brought to us, very intentional, and it's amazing and such a valuable experience to be able to have that closeness with each and every one of those individuals.
Great. Well, as you know, the access to those lectures doesn't end the day you graduate, because that's kind of one of the perks of being an EMSL alumnus is that you actually get to have access to those on an ongoing basis. So that's actually been one of the great things now that we've graduated some cohorts, is to actually see familiar names come back in our weekly lectures and get the perspectives of current and prior students. So that's fantastic. Now, another highlight of the program, I have to say, is the week we spent together in the Netherlands. I think where we get to be in beautiful surroundings and do fun things like go on canal cruises, like you see in this picture, but also do some very intense, serious work with local organizations, big and small, whether it's corporations, municipalities, etc. And I think certainly when I have conversations with EMSL students who have gone through it, the highlight and the intensity and density and I think the transformation that tends to happen in that part of the program never ceases to please me, for sure. So let's hear from you guys. Maybe we'll start with you, Lisa, and then we'll go to Thomas and then Jamie. But what was one of the key highlights for you?
Well, this is what was my first time outside of. I've been to Mexico, but outside of that, this is my first time in Europe, and that alone was an amazing experience for me to be able to really see things from a different perspective and kind of compare and contrast some of the things that we see, back at home to some of these challenges that other countries are facing in cities, and comparing that with some of the challenges we face in our city. So that comparing and contrasting was an amazing experience. Bruno mentioned the intensity. It's not vacation. I mean, they do build in some great, activities and fun, but you are really working. And I really like to be pushed and challenged and to see what we as students, as a cohort, as a team, can really produce, and the information and deliverables that we're able to be giving to some of these organizations and communities is quite amazing, to be able to reflect on that and say, wow, we did that in a short period of time, because that's one thing that you learn early on in this program is you've got to get with it and move quickly, and be able to turn out some really good information and deliverables for people to implement once you're gone. So I don't know. The whole thing was just amazing for me. It was great.
Great.
Well, for me, I mean, coming from Germany, it was like going home almost, being close to my home country that way. But really, for me, the highlight was several things. I mean, not only are you kind of halfway down of your program with your capstone, so really it was giving you the opportunity to intensely talk to your faculty. Hey, here's where I'm with my capstone. What do you think? And I think half of at least our cohort changed their capstone completely right after the Amsterdam experience. So it really gave us that in-depth, realistic view of where we are right now and where do we want to go in the time of the program. And the other highlight for me was really just how much closer we became as a cohort. I mean, yes, it's an online format, and obviously there's many amazing people in each of the cohorts. But just being able to connect with them on a more personal level, and forming these relationships that will hopefully last for forever, if not for a really, really long time, in the professional field, but also on the personal level. And yes, like Lisa already mentioned, it was a great opportunity, obviously, to give some input and some feedback to see what other companies are doing in regards to sustainability, and being asked, what is your professional opinion as a sustainability professional in regards to the things that we are doing, and what do you think we should do differently maybe? And I know that from our cohort and maybe some of the later cohorts later on, they have really embraced those feedbacks and are still working maybe on some of those projects that we recommended. So there's a lot of things that are really great for this immersive, not only that you're going to experience a different culture, but also all these different intersections on the personal and professional level.
Great. What about you, Jamie?
Well, I had never been to continental Europe before, so this was a real groundbreaking trip for me. I had been to Ireland and England a few times, but the Netherlands, the sights, smells, and sounds were just amazing. The photo here of the flower market, I think visually and just the pure, awesome size of that operation really had an impact on me. But this is a school/business trip, and although there is a lot of fun to be had, I think when we were at the flower market, our professors really and our host highlighted and impressed upon us. Start thinking about how this operation could be better. This massive, I think it's the biggest indoor building in Europe.
In the world.
It pretty much. It pretty much hums just for a few hours in the morning, and then it kind of shuts down. So it really got our gears turning as sustainability students. Like, how could this be done better? And it was really amazing to see, how many resources go into transferring all these flowers all around the world. Some of them come from Africa and then back and come to Amsterdam and then end up, back in Africa and different places. So it's this big amazing pass through, but they really highlighted how even though something as efficient as the flower market, that could be definitely improved upon. I think one of the biggest highlights for my trip was when we were at KPN, and the telecom was hosting us at the Rijksmuseum, and it was just this amazing, just visual and social experience. And then at one point, Bruno walked up to me and asked me if I wanted to be on a video spot, and I ended up being on this nice spot with Bruno and Karen and a few other of our students. Ended up on YouTube literally, that day, and it really impressed upon me that this is an immersive program, and Bruno putting me on the spot, literally, within minutes, I was being filmed and being asked about my impressions about what we were doing there, and it really highlighted to me that we're expected to really perform and be professionals and really bring our skills and the experience to bear, right on the spot, right on site. So that was one of the big highlights for me, and it's a video spot that I still cherish to this day.
Well, you did very well. But
thank you, Bruno.
no,
It's amazing to be in a video with Bruno.
Now, thanks for sharing. And I think one of the testaments to the both, I think, the intensity, but also the quality is literally every single organization asks us back every year. And in fact, this year they reached out to us even before we could reach out to them, saying, "When are you guys coming back?" Because they get, I think, to what Thomas said, they truly get actionable insights and value that goes into their programs. And again, these are large organizations, global conglomerates, fast-growing cities like Almere, etc. So thank you for sharing. Certainly, some of what we emphasize in this program again is the very kind of experiential applied learning. We try to really not spend much, if any, time really on things that are purely theory based. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of theory that underlies what we do, but it's very applied and in some cases very kind of hands on and as you said, Jamie, on the spot. It's also, again, I think, recognizing the demands of our professional students. So we keep it tight, we keep it short. You're in and out really from January to January. We keep the cohort itself to a maximum of 30 students ever, and even a bit less than that, so that it really emphasizes the one-to-one interactions, the high touch that I mentioned earlier, but also even within the cohort, and we've heard some of this already today. I think lifelong relationships, both professional but also friendships, have been formed. So that's certainly a benefit. The other, again, is it is this cohort program. So all of our students begin and end at the same time, and I think there's this feeling of kind of this lockstep, mutual kind of accountability and peer support and networking that goes a long way. Anybody want to share kind of what the key highlight for them or takeaway was from being in kind of this cohort environment?
Sure. Yeah, I think like I already mentioned a little bit earlier, just the relationship forming that you can do on a professional level. You see folks that are interested, obviously, because they're taking this program to advance the career within sustainability and then also change their companies and improve the sustainability initiatives of their companies, even start new initiatives if they don't have any. But for me, and just recently I had an experience with actually one of the people that is currently in the program, Joe Fullerton from the community college system of San Mateo in California. We connected, and now we are talking about how do we get our sustainability teams connected so that we actually brainstorming about ideas that are maybe similar to community colleges, not only here in one state, but maybe nationwide, and how do we work together to maybe accomplish similar goals. But again, like Bruno mentioned, the friendships, I've made great friendships in regards to the people that are in my cohort, but also beyond that, met through the alumni groups and alumni events, some of the new folks, and just making sure, like finding out who is in your city and who is across the nation that you can connect with, and that you have that similar walk through fire sometimes for the executive master's program, because it can be really intense, and that is really a bonding experience sometimes when you're able to exchange some of the frustrations, some of the hopes that you might have in that program with each other.
Great. Lisa, what about you?
Well, with this cohort, I mean, and actually all of them, I can steal their ideas. I mean, that's one thing we are a resource to each other, and we continue to be that. A lot of times we connect, and sometimes they have ideas or practices that they've already implemented in their own work organizations or industries, and we can copy each other, and we're fine with that, and be able to exchange that, and pose an idea like on Facebook in our own little group. We'll say, hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you guys have any ideas? And then instantly you get comments from your cohort. Hey, have you tried this? Or I have a friend with so and so. So the network, the resources, and all that is incredibly valuable for the long haul. I mean, it doesn't end, when you're finished with the program in January. It truly is a continuing friendship and connection, and we are all genuinely interested in each other's success and seeing each other grow in our own organizations, our paths.
Great. Damien, did you want to add anything?
Sure. For me, the cohort concept and structure, especially how the EMSL program has it laid out, for me, it's an energy source. And it started with the first cohort. And with each successive cohort, I just see this energy source and resource just continuing to grow. I mean, we're all interconnected via social media and email, and just by our experiences with each other, just knowing that there are these like-minded people out there in the world, in the workforce, in organizations, corporations, nonprofits that we can all draw on. It's inspiring, and it's energizing, and that's why it's so important for us to stay connected. And even when you drift away a little bit, or your cohort will pick you up and say, hey, what's going on? And even after graduation. So I'm getting a lot out of that.
Excellent. Well, one of the certainly most rewarding things, I think, for me, has been, when we designed this program, we had a good sense of what it was supposed to do. And we had a rough idea of who we think it could best do it for. But in fact, I think it's attracted a more even diverse group of students than we could have even imagined. I think recognizing that across such a broad section of the population. I mean, whether it's where some students were in life, from their literally mid-20s to mid-60s, and everything in between, geographical distribution, work experiences, educational backgrounds, etc. So that's been such a treat. Most students certainly entered with a bachelor's degree, but actually many already had a master's. One actually even had a PhD and a master's already, but saw key complementary skills being developed in this program. Many of our students have been and are entrepreneurs, work for large corporations, for cities and other type of government type level, nonprofit, and educational institutions. I think we've covered pretty much almost sector of activity, and then even within those, whether it's energy, it's materials, it's construction, it's consumer goods, retail, etc. And then I think our students also have come from a variety of places. Thomas here in the picture mentioned, he's originally from Germany. Students from literally as far away as, well, first of all, pretty much all across the U.S., but as far away as Canada, Nigeria, Japan, the Middle East, Haiti, the United Kingdom, and others. So I think that certainly that the hybrid model we talk about makes that very possible. That's very unique. But again, the individual context, the individual perspectives, and kind of cultural dimensions that brings to the program has been truly a gift to us, but also to, I think, to the students themselves. So why don't we get your perspectives? I mean, what was that like? You all came in, whether it was, like Lisa, you came in working from a city government, not having, traveled beyond the U.S. or Mexico, and then here you were interacting with people certainly from the corporate world, from other types of parts of the economy, different parts of the world. What was that like?
Well, it was fascinating. I mean, just to hear from other students and where they're from and some of the challenges they face. And again, going back to comparing and contrasting, the challenges that I face here and the opportunities. But really, just to be able to be in the same room. I mean, I've grown as a person. Perhaps, I didn't have all the travel experience, but I certainly, through this experience in this program, I was able to make up for some of the things that I wasn't able to do. So it was my dose of cultural immersion and getting to learn about people in their own respective jobs and locations and geography. Just to hear from all that, I became a better person and has enriched my own perspective and worldview as I do my job in sustainability here back at home.
Great. What about you, Thomas?
Yeah, same here. I think it was really fun for me, actually, to hear all these different perspectives from people all over the world, and also in different corners of the United States, and how they are working on sustainability initiatives, and what are some of their challenges that they're facing. Maybe it's government related, or maybe it's different policies that they have to face and they have to overcome to get those sustainability initiatives moving forward. But also just the cultural background that some of those folks are coming from, and seeing sustainability really to a completely different lens. What is their focus on sustainability, and how they're approaching different pathways because of their cultural background. That was really interesting for me. And then also, coming from the educational institution, it was really fun to see how do I make better connections with, and the importance of the connections that you have to make through to the different sectors in your community, where it may be corporate, maybe nonprofit, all of those things. How do you create and forge better partnerships with the other sectors that you maybe don't touch on a daily basis in your work?
Okay. And Jamie, I think, if I can just pick on you also, I mean, even though you didn't come from a faraway foreign country, I think you brought, even from, within the U.S., I loved how you brought the spirit of aloha to the program. But along, I think, again, you brought yet another unique perspective, working for an energy utility, trying to lead kind of transformation to new forms of energy, and at the same time, working mostly with people who were not necessarily trying to solve the same problems that you were. So what was that like for you as well?
Well, it was amazing joining this group. I had come from a healthcare background prior to joining the energy sector, and but I've always been attracted to and lived on islands for a good part of my life, and I think that island lifestyle and work environment it's a microcosm for what's going on the planet, and I really liked interfacing with all of these people coming from such a diverse set of backgrounds and industries. We have a tendency out in Hawaii to get a little, ingrained in how we do things in Hawaii. And I think it's really important to keep on top of whatever the current trends are out in the workplace. And that's really why I joined the program, is so I could become, more versed in what's going on out there in the industry. I was humbled by, you always think, okay, what level am I at, as far as my knowledge and my sophistication and things like that. And some of the people in the program had very little experience of sustainability. I had some, many had a lot more. And I was humbled by everyone's experience and what they brought to bear in the group. Humbled by the people that were just starting, and humbled by the people that I was around that were experts in their field. It was just a really humbling yet inspiring and energizing experience for me. I highly recommend this format. It's amazing.
All right. Well, don't go too far, because I'm going to ask you another question just in a minute. But so we've talked about a variety of things, and kind of how the program started, what's in it, kind of how we structured the experiences, from the capstones to the immersives, things like that. But at the end of the day, and you've touched each on some of this already, but I'd love to hear from you, kind of at the end of the day, what was, you thought, your biggest benefit or biggest transformation that you got out of that? So Jamie, let's go to you first.
I think my biggest transformation was my level of confidence. I really, leaving the program, I felt really confident that I could speak intelligently as a sustainability leader and really, lead and shepherd ongoing conversations in my organization and out in my community. Um, I started off as a staff member when I started the EMSL program, and in the middle of the program, I got a promotion to the director of my group. And I think change can happen slowly and steadily. And I found myself speaking at conferences here on Maui, continually out there practicing my public speaking skills. So I think for me, the biggest transformation for me was my confidence.
Excellent. Lisa, what about you?
For me, I think it's just having the ASU brand behind me to help shape my identity, my reputation, my credibility within my own organization. And nothing more can attest to that than a book that was given to me just yesterday by our mayor. And it's a book written by a developer here in the area who has a strong lineage of family. But it's called The Future of the Suburban City. And inside she inscribed, she says, Lisa, thank you for illuminating our path to Peoria's sustainable future. Mayor Kathy Carlott, 2016. So I will cherish that because that tells me and convinces me, along with the point of confidence, that they're entrusting me to help shape the future of Peoria. And that's something that's put before me that I must go to great lengths to help make that happen. So it's a big responsibility, one that I respect and admire and appreciate, and will surely see it through.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thomas,
what about you?
Well, I think similar to what Jamie said, I think within sustainability, you and many, I think, of us coming from such an emotional and passionate background for this topic and saying, why doesn't everybody do this? And why doesn't everybody, think like this? And really, your confidence can be suffering quite quickly if somebody might not agree as strongly as you do on some of the things that should happen to transform maybe your organization or community towards a more sustainable path. And that this program really has helped me to have that confidence and seeing what other people are doing and how they're being successful in their initiatives and trying to create change in their community and organizations, but also just being able to speak with the academic credentials behind me to say, this is something I studied really hard. This is something I value and I spend a lot of time on in my improving my educational experience, additional to the passion that I have for it. So that really helped me also, like Jamie mentioned, to accelerate to the position that I just took on a couple of months ago as the CSO for my organization. To have my leaders have that confidence in creating a position like this that has never happened before within our organization, and really, like Lisa mentioned too, to really just take the bull by the horns and make it happen, and have then the accountability to make it successful.
That's great. Well, thanks to each of you. I mean, it's been certainly a great point of pride for us to watch you and your other cohort members develop through the program, really continue to develop beyond the program. Fortunately, Tim could only join for the first part of the meeting. That's why we haven't called on him since he's not in the doghouse or anything. But we were happy to have him for the short time that we had him. And then, frankly, some other of our students also feel very passionate about what they've gotten. Here's John Martinson, one of our recent graduates, again, somebody who had a tremendous level of accomplishment already in his career, and frankly who just invested himself in this program in such significant ways, and actually used what he learned to make some significant, even kind of transformational pathways within his organization, create new product lines and new approaches to the tea supply chain. Actually, not even just for his company, but for that industry. So very significant. Or Devin here again, who came to EMSL without a tremendous amount of sustainability experience, but knew that this was something that he was passionate about and wanted to build into his career, and again, felt that this is really something that built his overall professional persona through sustainability. Again, not necessarily just for sustainability. And we, will embarrass Thomas here a little bit as well, because I think similar to what we just heard from Lisa, and we'll have to get that in writing, Lisa, by the way. Well, you have it in writing, but we'll have a copy or something. But again, we actually hear from the sponsors and or employers or sometimes family members of our students who just have things like this to say, as what we can read here about Thomas and the transformation they notice. And Jamie, you just mentioned you got actually promoted while you were in the program. I think we now have multiple examples of that happening because of this kind of the transformation process starts soon, and the work that you have to do for your capstone, where you can't insulate yourself from your organization, but really have to start engaging with your organization as you're in the program, I think has been a great success. So, for those of you, listening to this, thinking, hey, this sounds like something that might be right for me. Obviously, you don't necessarily have all the information you need. The good news is you have choices. You can speak to myself or any of the other faculty members. It's a mutual evaluation thing. You come talk to us and check us out, and we get the opportunity to do the same in the process. You can also interact with alumni if you have particular interest. Maybe if you're in a particular sector of the economy, this particular part of the world, usually we can connect you with somebody who could share their experiences. You have here the contact information, our dedicated program director, Jennifer, who is very reachable, and again, who can easily help you with taking the next steps in terms of what you're trying to do. So again, going back to school isn't for everybody, frankly. That was one of the design principles when we designed this program, is that we started by saying, we need to build a program for people who aren't thinking of going back to school, or who think, frankly, they don't have time to go back to school. So because they're too busy making stuff happen. So if you want to be an agent of change, join a dynamic global network, transform your organization, and frankly, in many ways yourself. Come be part of this. We make you work hard, but we try to make it fun and interesting. Another design principle was just like if you're designing a great ride at an amusement park, it should be that while you're on it, it feels intense and sometimes a little bit too exhilarating, but then as soon as you're off, your first impulse is, I want to do it again, and actually we have lots of students who were like, oh, I'm so sad it's over, I want to go again. So join us again. We have application deadline by the end of November, but certainly you don't need to wait till then. And so if you have questions, reach out, and we'll try to answer them. So again, to our panelists, thank you so much for joining us, and